All right, everybody, you should be able to see my screen and hear my audio. If you do not, if you can hear me, go ahead and type a yes in there. Also, just to let people know, I did share a quick couple links in the chat box. We'll get to that information here shortly, but I want to let you know that that information is there. Happy to be here. This is tips for traders who work full time, kind of a different style webinar than probably maybe you guys have seen before, or webinars that are strictly focused on strategy or execution, trying to maybe take things a little bit back to some structural mindsets. So to get things started, I do need to show a quick risk disclosure. I am streaming this on my YouTube page, so those that are joining here via YouTube, thank you for joining. And those that obviously are here through Jigsaw in this Zoom meeting, need to show this quick for our Daniels Trading disclosure. For those that are not familiar with me or Daniels Trading for that matter, I've been working with Peter for several years now. Here's my full contact information. Feel free to contact me directly. Let me know your interest in Jigsaw or brokerage or what you're looking for. Maybe we could help you with some executions, assistance. Many people do come here now to me for more of an educational point of view with how I use Jigsaw in my community, of educating on how to use that with volume analysis, order flow, using those tools. So that's usually what people come to me now, is more of an educational type role. If you have not visited my YouTube page, you can check out my YouTube page. Just type in Market Dimensions Advisory. I did drop a link in there. Every Tuesday, I do a live stream in there where I show Jigsaw's day trader platform in real time, as well as other tools that on our DT Pro platform, and give you live analysis of that. And then all the webinars that I do are on that as well. And many of the webinars that I do with Peter, I host there as well. So a great resource for those that are maybe first coming to see me or Daniels Trading or MDA. Check that out. Give it a subscribe, click. And secondly, this bonus for live attendees, those that are here today, I dropped this link into the chat box. It's a bit.ly link. You just click that, request the registration form. And what that will do, part of my MDA program allows you to see a live stream. So I always try it on the heels of a webinar, just have everyone access that live stream so you can see the steps and information that I go through to kind of give you a better idea of how I use Jigsaw Day Trader, what I look at for context of the market, and how to kind of look for trading ideas and analysis. So got some of those talking points out of the way. Just like to lead with that because we're going to dive into our agenda now. We want to cover whys and expectations, evaluating your current arrangement, building a structure, time to trade, tools, execution, performance, strategy, permanent demo mindset, community, homework, and then MDA. So what I'm going to talk about today is nothing new. It's just being a broker for almost 13 years. I've worked with hundreds, if not thousands, of prospects and clients, and many people fall over the spectrum of wanting to do this. They're still working full time. This is going to be the means for them to break out of that job or that current role that they don't like, or it's just a source of secondary income. People are retired. They want to manage their 401ks. There's a lot of reasons of why people get involved. And these are just things that I have over time thought that might be beneficial to, if you are working full-time, you should never make that leap into trading full-time until you can prove that you're successful at that. But here's a good quote that I think is relevant to trading and markets and life in general. This life is inherently risky. There's only one big risk you should avoid at all costs, and that is the risk of doing nothing. That's Dennis Waitley. I thought this was a relevant quote for some of the webinars that I do, because there is a trap between demo trading and trying to hone that perfect strategy, and people get caught up and wrapped in that and never actually do move forward with the account. There's really only so much you can learn from an actual demo strategy before you actually put it live and then have to deal with that psychology of actual real money on the market. So let's just kind of start getting through this. If you have questions, go ahead and chat them in. I'll try to get to them in a Q&A format at the end. But again, these are just my opinions, my thoughts. It is kind of basic in nature, but sometimes the best types of events or education is going back to basics and reevaluating where you are and why, and developing the structure. And this idea is for people that are working full-time, that are trying to manage this job that they may have and trying to accommodate learning the markets and beginning to trade. So just getting started with, why are you here? If you're just getting started with futures, maybe you have no idea what they are, the strategy approach. Are you already trading and struggling? Are you not sure why you signed here? Is this, you just sign up for events because it's you trust the brand of Jigsaw and all that information, and that's great. I have a lot of people that do the same thing. It is pretty basic stuff, but it's I believe it's essential for formulating success. So this webinar is designed to go through the ideas to consider to help you find the best way to manage work and trading. And let's just kind of keep going through here. Why trading? As we were mentioning earlier, it's a career change. Being a broker, we talk to everyone, commercial air pilots, truckers, teachers, doctors, professionals. They're either trying to set things up so when they retire they have something to do, or they're just working a job that they feel like has no meaning to them. They want side income. It's easy to see online, and the dreamers out there that want to see trading and how much money that can be made. Well, I think you need to be a little bit cautious of that, because there's a lot of money that can be lost here as well, so don't fall in that trap. But there is ability to have a side income from trading once you get a strategy and plan and approach. Freedom, with the advent of the technology and the internet and the ability to be mobile, you can literally trade from anywhere that you have an internet connection, and that appeals to people as well. Also, why people hear losses in the past and want to from following somebody that made these promises, it didn't work out, or maybe you had some advisor, or you just wanted to take ownership of your investments and do it yourself. Those are all relevant reasons why people are getting to trading, and in specifically futures trading. So this is my time to say this is just a reality check. This is one of the most toughest businesses to become successful, and I'm not trying to give you the hard sell, and just being in the brokerage community for almost 13 years, I've seen the good, the bad, and the ugly. I've seen people just have no chance of putting themselves on the right side of the markets and just lose their accounts. I've also seen people grind it out over time and become successful at this and grow and become money managers. There's a lot of different routes that you can go. The competition is working full time. So if you're trying to be approaching this thinking that I can just passively create a secondary income with at least a minimal amount of time, you should be corrected, because there are millions and millions of dollars invested into algorithms and firms and technology that in this competition that have more money, more experience, and better tools in trading. So you need to be aware of that. And I think the education of and tools like Day Trader and the real life examples that they show that people use these, it shows you that it is on the right path. It's computer systems, better technology. There's no get rich schemes, but through discipline and dedication, you may get there. It's a lifelong journey. As many people say, it's a marathon and not a sprint, and we'll get to that. So I'm not trying to discourage you. I just really think people need to have the proper expectations, and it does take a lot of time, consistency, and it'll probably take your hard-earned capital being risked and probably have sustained losses over a period of time before you can actually find a strategy that will work. So who am I? Why am I here? Market Dimensions Advisory. I've been a market participant in the markets. I've been a broker here at Daniels Trading since 2007. Like many of you, I had to find my own path. I gravitated to technical and volume analysis. I'm in Chicago. Our brokerage firm is in downtown Chicago. I got started in 2007, so it was after those pit trading environment or those large prop firm environments that were large in the mid to late 90s and early 2000s. I went to school for computer science and management information systems and had a job right out of college in the Metro Chicago area. Wasn't for me, and then I got connected with Daniels Trading, so I had to connect with the markets, my own interests, and that's what got me into market profiling, technical analysis, volume analysis, and order flow and jigsaw. So I found my own way by attending events like this, working with people like Peter and Jigsaw Trading, and that over time I developed my Market Dimensions Advisory to show the tools and the ideas. And I've been with a great firm, Daniels Trading, if you guys aren't familiar with it, that over almost 30 years we've been here, you know, large commodity firm, you know, agricultural presence for hedging and commercial interests, and spec trading for retail traders. So I've been fortunate that, you know, kind of my career and my interests has allowed me to just dive into what I want to do, and it's allowed me to add that time and put, you know, those thousands of hours behind the screens. So if you've attended one of my events before, you may have seen a couple of these slides, but I thought today it might be relevant to share a couple ideas about a winner's mindset, just to kind of get in the belief system of those that are working full-time and you're wanting to branch into trading. You need to learn before you earn. And I know that through the Jigsaw community and Peter and what they do, they have a lot of educational coursework. Definitely take advantage of that. You need to understand the risk, and you need to start that practice trading. So that's really relevant to you in getting that approach. Again, it's a marathon. Just think, you know, over a course of a year, you know, you're developing, logging those hours. There's so many books out there now about how to master things and getting to elite levels, and it's all about screen time. So you need to be realistic on that. Develop a process. You know, what is not just a trading approach, but execution strategy. How much time are you going to focus? And that's what we're going to get to today for you working full time. But you need a process. And if you don't articulate it, it doesn't exist. You need to have a structure that you can follow that accommodates your family, your income, and then this hobby that you're looking to take on to hopefully be that third rail of income. You have to keep score. We're going to talk about some tools that allows you to keep score. That's the number one thing failure I see in retail clients, is the inability to really rank yourself like you were working for a professional. Psychology, yes, there's a ton of books and mindset and information on that, but that really doesn't come in until you actually have live money on the markets, when you're second guessing, and be able to make the trading become second nature. And then obviously here's the mindset style. Mindset and beliefs. You know, this is basic stuff. I just try to, you know, hit the audience with this so they're familiar with it. What will be the greatest success? You need consistency, presence in your execution, and patience. Now there's a lot of different things that people say, you know, you have a plan and then when you get punched in the face, it goes out the window. I think trading kind of falls in line with that, with some of those competitive type of sports or fighting style MMAs or boxing, some of those sayings. You have a plan, and then once you start losing money or you start getting up successful and you want to get out of that trade because it was a winner this time, you need to really, you'll see that those flaws over time bite you. And as a broker, I've seen people grind it out, you know, very well, doing every day, every week on the right side of the market, minimize risk, small little bites at the apple, and then one day that just blow up day where they give all those gains back and more. So it does require greater time for an adaptation. There are no overnight successes. We always see the guys and ladies that come on board and that first trade was a winner. It's great because that's kind of showing them the reward that you can see in the market, but if that was too easy, then you think every trade should be a winner like that. And then the guy that or lady that gets the first couple trades are the worst case scenarios and sticks with it, they know right away that the loss and risk of loss is ever present. So this is a slide for this presentation, Prepare to Succeed. I think it kind of boils down to three things that we're going to be talking about is the structure. How are you structuring your day? How are you approaching the markets? How are you doing your homework? How are you doing your pre-market planning? What are you doing that's going to prepare yourself to be successful? Because it does require all that work. And then it comes into strategy and execution. Have you actually paper traded that? Do you know statistics on that? Are you able to be in the presence of mind and know that your strategy is something that is going to put you on the right side of the market? And then executing that strategy, actually following the rules that you're putting down. Everyone is guilty of it, but able to stick with your trades, stick with information on that, and then reviewing that. So these three parts of the webinar. So evaluating your current schedule. There's a good quote from Jocko Willink, who's an ex-Navy SEAL author, has a podcast that he says, discipline equals freedom. So, usually people say discipline it's hard to be free when you're so disciplined and regimented in rules, but he believes that the more discipline you have, the more freedom you'll have, and that can maybe happen with your structure for trading and your life. You have your life commitments, you have your work and your family, and then what's your free time? How are you structuring your day to have this fit in? And we have the dreamers that I talk to that want to do this, and they get real excited about checking things out, and they don't realistically stick with it. Early in the morning you can do things, midday you can do things, late at night. You need to write down that structure. Where is this going to fit in? Obviously you have to have an ideal schedule, and what is your dream? What are you able to put down to enable to keep that structure in place? So building an ideal structure, I think it boils into consistency. Any type of sport or hobby, the number one thing they say is you got to be consistent with it. You got to stick with it. You get that muscle memory. You need to be able to track the hours of the market, whether it's just a couple hours a day or 1 hour a day. Build upon that. Do that over and over and over. You need to be in front of the screen on those most active day. You want to see when is that high volume and when is that best time for you to be participating in the market. If you're focusing on the equity markets and in the U.S., you need to be in that 8:30 Central Time to 9:30 Central Time. If there's days that there's FOMC meetings or there's volatilities kicking in, you need to be able to adjust your schedule. If you're overseas and you're trading foreign markets like the DAX or other Nikkei, other instruments like that, same thing. When are you seeing the most volume coming in for that you can dedicate 30 minutes to 2 hours to give yourself the liquidity to participate? What markets do you want to trade? Do you have a background in ags for some reason? You grew up on a farm. Do you just want to follow the lead of what other people are doing and then try to create it yourself? If you do not build a framework of how you expect to do it, how are you going to follow through on it? There's a lot of resources that help you build on this structure. One, I'll just mention an older resource and podcast is the Tim Ferriss 4-Hour Work Week. He really dives in how he doesn't, with today's ability of people to work remotely, work from home, not having to be in an office environment as much as they had, you can really take this structure to control your day. And I've helped people talk about this, pass them in, to those resources. I'm not reinventing anything like this, but if you can just over time start scheduling meetings, schedule your day that 8:30 to 9:30 in the morning or twice a week. You're not going to take any calls. You're going to you have an auto email response that you're away from the desk at that point in time, and that requires maybe you have to work an extra hour at the end of the day. There are ways to do that. If you can really want to do that, structure your day, Don't take a lunch break. Work through your lunch. There's definitely ways, given your background and what you're doing, most likely that you can structure some type of arrangement to allow you to have 2 to 3 hours a day, or break that up a couple times a week where you can be in front of the screens and see these things in real time. Another note here is fund your account from your full-time job. If you're not ready to to begin trading, you should have some type of reward system of percentage of funds being allocated from your current paycheck that you don't even touch yet. Similar to like a 401k. Every paycheck I'm putting 10% into a bank account somewhere that is going to be used to funding this trading account. You're going to sustain losses across at the beginning, or even at most successful traders. It's just learning to cut those losses quicker and not falling in love with the trade is the area you're looking to go for. But as you're starting this practice portion, you're building the structure, you're doing your homework, you're demo trading, the money that you're making now, start preparing for that future of the account and allocating and putting it aside. Maybe you wait every year to get tax returns. And then a note from that, you should never take money that you need for your obligations, your liabilities, your family, your rent, and things like that for trading. This is just an example of a structure that I put together with a lot of the information that I do, and this worked for me, and it's easy to adapt. I do this on an Excel format. Early morning wake up, accommodate for places to eat, workout option, leave the house, get into into the office, do some of my MDA streams, get up, move around, and I can focus on email, some work aspects, lunch. This is an evolving thing. This is Monday through Friday type of a structure that, with alerts and setups in the account, in your Outlook to tell you, to remind you to do certain things, and then it becomes second nature. So go through, create something like this. Don't be so rigid that you can't adapt and change things around, but your schedule, what your kids are doing, what days that are harder than others. Is that saying you have to at day one schedule every single day like this, but begin this process if you are going to be in a position where you want to really take ownership of what you're doing. You're going to have to be able to have some consistency. Time to trade. Obviously, the best time to trade in the U.S. markets is while you're in front of the screen, but that's not always an option, right? So there are overnight markets, and there's the ability to see what volume picks up in the overnight. I've got accounts here at the firm at Daniels Trading of people in the UK, people in Australia, all over Europe, and in the US. There's different times here as well. So if you live in a time zone that's different than Central Time where I am here, you do some homework. Talk to your broker. Talk to any mentor of yours, and then establish where the volume is. If the day session, overnight, what markets, what the volume is ticking up, what markets and why. You need to understand what specifically is driving to a certain market or not. Is it just the educators you're working for, the volume? There's lots of ways to approach the markets: futures, options, and spreads. I work with all those with clients, and all of them have their own different takes, and I can give you benefits of trading each. But futures, pretty binary. You're either in and out. You're right, you're wrong. Trail risk. Options, you're kind of developing a longer term maybe strategy on traditional monthly options, or you're writing options on a weekly basis. There's a lot of different things you can take into that, or you're maybe doing seasonal spreads. You need to do your homework. You need to know the contract details, when they open, what's considered high volume. So this is where you start developing, kind of learning that market. And the way that I approach the market and what I do with the market dimensions advisory is a little different than some of the prop firms and gurus out there that say master one market and only look for one setup. That's true. That's good to know and good to do. But if you learn some technical tools and an approach that's scalable across other markets, but it allows you to maybe just find that technical setup and let the market tell you what's falling in there. So that's what I try to do with some of the scanning tools, and then with order flow and using the day trader. Once you kind of understand where imbalances are, like which I call imbalances, the big buying, the big selling, the blue and the red circles, that's real time seeing where big buying pressure and big selling pressure is coming in. You can really look at almost any market and adapt to that and find the market that seems to be volatile or what's in play to adapt that strategy. Key reports and volatility. I'm going to show some slides here on how to use our platform and the Journalytics platform to look for news and information. And when volatility spikes, that's what we want as a trader in terms of trading opportunities. You jumping into the market on those price moves, those price swings, that's what you want. So when you follow something like the VIX or an indicator of that kind, that allows you to see when volatility is coming in, because when it's dormant and things aren't moving around, and you're limited on time and how long you could be in a trade, that's going to fight against you. So if you can see what markets are volatile, using some of these shorter term analysis tools to allow you to see where the big buying and selling is coming in and take your little bites of the market. Little is definitely different from all people, but you know what I'm saying. And then be on your way. That's the goal. I think there's with technology and relationships out there, trading partners, brokers, mentors, they're out there. There's a lot out there. Do your homework on who you can maybe trust. Talk to somebody that's a member there. The thing that just separates us at Daniels Trading is that we're registered with the NFA and CFTC as a registered broker. So, I'm not going to be having a website that says guaranteed returns and this strategy. Like, we just can't do it, nor would I ever do that. But know who you're talking to and make sure you can rely upon them. So knowing reports and information that are released is important, and this is a part of your structure that you should do every evening, every morning, or maybe Sunday night. Kind of see what days are going to be important for you to be in front of the screen. If you can schedule your week, if you're kind of an outside sales rep and you kind of control when your meetings are, you might want to be in front of the computer and not schedule meetings at certain times around some bigger, today, FOMC minutes. But earlier in the week, we had Fed Chair's Powell speech. There's always going to be something that obviously hits the news that's unpredicted, and that's just how markets work. But there's also a lot of key economic calendars and events that come through. So use this feature to prepare your week and not be caught by surprise, especially when you're trading liquid products like equities or oil and gas. When there's going to be some key features coming out. And this is a look at the Journalytics tool. They have a news feed built right into that web page, so you can see based on what you're maybe trading that day on any news that's in the market. Trading the news to me is going to be a very difficult thing to do in general, to catch that something you hear on TV or something hit the wire or hit Twitter right away, because the algos and systems that are connected directly at the servers are just going to jump all over that. However, learning the bias or anticipation of a story and why volatility is upticked is what you need to know, and understanding what's happening, and then you use those technical levels based upon that. So I think it's very important to follow the news and see what's happening and why a market maybe what's it sensitive to, and if it happens again, maybe it's going to have that same sensitivity. Obviously, the trade war, the Iran threat with oil and gas, any OPEC information, Brexit, these big news things that are in the news, and then how is the market reacting to it. So again, it's just another screenshot of economic releases, similar to that chart image that we just showed of our DT Pro. The Journalytics tool has a good way of showing economic releases, what country you can filter them. So there's really no excuse to why you, at this point in day, that you didn't know a report was coming out, and trade around that. All right, so tools. We're going to talk about tools that I'm using here at Daniels Trading, but this is just more of an general things I've found that you should consider when you're looking at tools in general. There's 3 to 4 things that you really should just have on your chart and master. You don't want to overcomplicate things. I've moved towards volume analysis, volume profile, market profile, reading order flow. I like to build the context of using where actual time, the TPO charts, market profile has spent at prices, and where actual volume is actually traded at those prices, and build that context, weekly charts and information on that. Just, to bring in, for an example, just something like this on a weekly time frame, just to go back and see where actually volumes traded, both time and price, and build levels around that. And those are the helps you create your bias in the market. And then when you start getting into a price point or a price level, then you flip to something like Jigsaw Day Trader here to allow you to see exactly where the buying and selling is either confirming or denying that area. If you want to get long, you can use some absorptions of sellers on a reaction to that. There's a lot of different techniques you can do, but those are actual tools to help you see what your story is, your context, and then your execution. So I'd say that lean on the Jigsaw Trade Setup webinar. It's on my MDA YouTube page. If you're on the Jigsaw webinar email list, you're seeing Peter send out updates every day essentially on different web events that he's speaking to. So there's not a lack of resources there. So get 3 or 4 things that you trust and watch them. In hindsight, it's always 20/20, but look at that hard right edge, and that's where the paper trading comes in. So I'm a firm believer that I like to look at all markets and all time frames and have a context, and use some tools that allows me to see it short-term and long-term. As a broker, I do this probably more than maybe an individual trader, because I work with people all across the marketplace. They only want to focus on agricultures. We have people that only focused on softs like sugar, cotton, cocoa. I have traders that only focus on oil and gas and equities. So I have to be able to work with these clients if they do want to have some advice or things to point out. And that's why some of these tools that I've found I use has helped me create that context from a technical standpoint, both short-term and long-term. Also, you need to be able to calculate risk and reward easily. That takes some time. There's a great tools that are out there for that. On our Daniels Trading website, we have a futures calculator. You basically just type in, pick the market, pick your entry, pick your exit quantity, and it'll calculate that for you in real time. Some platforms actually allow you to click on the chart exactly where you're getting in, where you're getting out, and that allows you to calculate risk-reward ratios. A thing that I tell clients that work with me, I'm in front of them, I'm giving analysis, I have a newsletter, that really has kind of sticks your neck out there in a way when you're saying, this is why I think we should be long here, this is why I think we should be short here, and you're actually working with traders that are taking action on that. It makes it real. So if you're in a situation where you've never done anything like that, begin doing some pre-market prep of hypotheticals, of like you're writing a newsletter of where you actually take if you've been on Twitter, you've seen it, screenshot the chart, right in your little boxes. I'm using a tool like Snagit that allows you to have an entry, have an exit, um, allows you to go right in there and tell your strategy like you're going to be presenting it to somebody that's unfamiliar with that. That makes it real. Then you can go back and look at that. This will help you with your demo trading. You want to test your approach. If you're just scalping for ticks on a demo environment, it's going to be difficult because nothing replicates the real fills of a real account. There are ways that demos have tried to get better and smarter if you most possibly would be filled on that trade, but at the end of the day, nothing is going to be as beneficial as a real account. And now that there are micro mini accounts on the equities, you're trading something the 10th the size. Now doesn't mean you have to scalp micro accounts, but there's enough liquidity there that we're seeing in this product that you can trade. I know something that moves $1.25 per tick, $5 a point, to get you some of that practice of scaling in, scaling out, hypothetical style trading. And then micro contracts aren't new. There's a micro, currencies like the euro. There's micro gold. They exist. There's a mini crude oil, which is half the size. So don't think, hey, I'm just trading the micros. It's not as exciting. It's still putting money, dealing with that psychological aspect that you cannot get from demo trading. So I think there really is no better time than now to actually start beginning to trade live with these micro contracts. And if you can't afford to open an account and trade micros, then you really shouldn't be trading futures in general, is my point of view. It really is. You got to make it real. Lastly, on this tools, the importance of people. I mean, you guys are here because Peter Davies, I see people asking, is Peter Davies going to be a part of this webinar? Well, you obviously want to hear from him because he's that trusted voice, and this is his product and his approach to trading that you want. I have people that I work with that attend events that I'm associated with, and we've built a relationship. I wouldn't say I'm their trading mentor, but I'm a trusted partner that can help them along the way. And there's a lot of people out there to allow you to maybe do that. Don't take it too far where you can't do anything on your own. Yeah, but again, any sport, anything out there, there's a coach and student type aspect, and eventually that student needs to go off on their own. But use people to help you get started, ask questions to get better. Again, this is basic stuff, but again, for people that are new to trading or trying to juggle trading full-time, working full-time, and putting strategy approach together, I think these are things you need to be able to just have a document that assess this and be able to put it together. So strategy, I'm not going to dive into what strategy you should be using. You're going to have to maybe to create that journey yourself, and that a lot of times is through trial and error. Positions that you like, or approaches that you like, approaches that you don't like. Are you a momentum trader, or like a breakout style? Are you looking for pullbacks in the markets? What time frames are you going to be using? But you need to figure out something that fits into your schedule. With you unable to be in front of the screens all day, there are some tools that you can use in order to assist you. Maybe you do need that broker contact that you can call at any point in time, and he's kind of your eyes on the ground that's watching things and have that relationship when he'll call you when something happens, or you can text. There's a higher service cost to that, of course, but it may be beneficial. There are different order types: OSO, OCO, OCO, one sends other, one cancels other type bracket orders. You can code your own. There's a lot of ways that you can do that with trailing stops. So there's ability to put a strategy in place early in the morning, have some things working, and then step away and then maybe manage it from a mobile device, or you have the ability, cloud-based style login that allows you to maybe not see all the tools that you like, bells and whistles style, but manage positions and then lean on your broker contact. Learn from people that have paved the way and adapt their system and make it best from you. There's what I try to teach is just something that I think that worked for me in terms of working with clients and helping them approach the markets using these tools. If you want to just learn one or two things from that and then jump into another area and find somewhere else and learn one or two things, that's how you're going to learn. Just like if you are playing golf or any tennis, you try to learn one thing by doing a boot camp of some kind and put that arrow in your quiver. I think you need to stick with a strategy or system long enough to say you understand and master it, and you need to have executions that maybe come in second nature where you don't have to think about it or play that question game, especially if you're using something like Jigsaw and order flow and you're trading for fast moving markets. You need to just see something, react to it, and execute it and know why and be comfortable with that. And then lastly, there really is no, end of the day, there's no perfect strategy that's always going to work. Strategies when high volatility, breakout styles work. When you're in a low vol situation, there's going to be a certain strategy that works. Seasonal setups. I mean, there really is nothing that is just always going to work every single trade, and you just understanding that. So if there's those searchers out there that they think they buy into something, they want to try it, it fails for them the first couple trades, and then they're off chasing that next shiny object. I don't think that's an effective way to learn anything. You'd be the master of nothing with that approach. That also means don't stay in front of something when you're consistently losing or seeing that it's not working for you. Be able to tap and adjust, but I think you need to be aware of that there really is no perfect method. So strategy formulation, this is a slide that I kind of put together for a couple of different events. Is my idea is obviously day trading. No overnight risk is one approach. But if you can find a day trade that turns into a swing trade and turns into position trading, or maybe over time you get comfortable with how markets trade and risks associated with them, where you were just day trading and then you realize, like, wait, I just did 5-6 day trades today, and if I would have just had that one swing trade today or intraday trade that maybe had a little more risk on it, but I waited for a couple more things to happen, I only executed one trade and I was able to trail risk. Now, of course, there are going to be days that does not work, but then over time you realize, like, oh, these swing trades, same thing. If I kind of look at a little longer term time frame, I'm comfortable with risk on because I've been trading for a while. I get that being underwater in a trade is sometimes part of it. Then you start position trading. So that's an evolution of maybe how you can develop, especially if you're working full time. Maybe you need to have some options on that are kind of like position moves, and you can day trade around those. There's a lot of different ways you can do it. Swing trades, spread trading, seasonal spread trading is a way that I allow people to put a position style move. We're using weekly charts on those, daily charts that of a setup that lasts for a month or 2 months, and we're using technical analysis to try to time that. And then you can go in and do some day trading on S&P or NASDAQ or other mini oil along the way. So you can build kind of a portfolio. In terms of kind of my strategy formulation, I go through a series of steps. Look at a scanner, get a bias context in the market, look at multi-time frames, see what kind of market awareness is out there, get some confirmations, use market profile, order flow, Jigsaw to see where the big buying and selling is when you are at a level that you're ready to execute. Then you obviously have your entry, your risk. That know your second trade first is a terminology that a lot of people will say to get out of the market. Know where your stop is, and then it's managing and executing the trade. Risk in you. What is the dollar amount you're willing to trade? We have ways to help you calculate that. How much are you really actually comfortable risking? Are you doing anything to actually follow up and see what's working, what's not working? Are you being consistent in your trading plan? I guess this ties into the theme of performance, which we'll get to. Are you a breakout momentum trader or are you a pivot trader? There's pros and cons of each. I'm not going to go through all these, but you can go and lean on this slide to kind of break it down, and maybe when you're using the Journalytics tool, you're labeling the type of trade that you're seeing. You're going to see more negatives come up, more losers come up when you thought that there was a strategy that was working. I've worked with some people that have traded self-directed online on the equity markets, and they really want to day trade, and they notice that that's the one they like trading, but it's the one they're losing the most. But when they've done their seasonal spread trades or a market that they're tied to because of their farming background, way more successful. So if you're really here to make money, you need to limit the day trading that you're doing and maybe stick to what you're doing better in. So there's some golden rules. You hold yourself accountable. Don't take things personal. You can go back and visit that slide if you watch this in recording. I want to get into kind of some performance and accountability and some tools that we use for this. So self-accountability is not just a mindset, it's a skill set. That's you just Google accountability and information, you'll see language of this come up. So the reason I like that, it is a skill set, and there are tools with any type of skill set. I feel performance and accountability is the #1 area that's overlooked by traders, retail traders. It's not just knowing if you're up and down on your account. I know I funded with 20,000. I'm at 22,000. I'm profitable. I'm at 15,000. I've lost 5K. Well, pull that apart. It's not just justifying your losses. Well, as long as I lose it, I'm comfortable with it. You could develop a revenge trading mindset, or the EFITs as we would call it. You just throw good money after bad. I want people to. And I think Peter does a good job, if you watch any of his Journalytics webinars and events, is professional environments. And this is what I've said for years, having worked closely with people that have come from that background. In a professional environment, you have a boss, you have a risk manager. Just like when we have clients here that are over leveraged, we have someone that rings us up and says, this client's over leveraged, they need to lighten up, they're going to be on margin call. Just when you're trading in a professional environment, someone's job is to know how well you're doing. Are you losing? Are you making money? And all those combines out there that everyone's so quick to jump into because the dream of getting funded. They have certain rules. If you break those rules, you're not going to get funded, and you have to pay to play again. So I feel like that's kind of how they're making money. But it's true. You have to be able to show that you can stick within a risk level. You can't just see that you added to losses and got lucky and you're underwater all day, and then you're a one-lot trader, and all of a sudden you add 10 because your demo account lets you. You just averaged in and it ticked in your favor, and you got out. So accountability with a real live account, what are you doing to do that? And that's where that journaling tool comes in, where you can journal your trade setups. You just click of a button. You don't even have to type it in. You can use an audio type of response to what the trade is. And it goes back and shows you that data of what markets you're trading, losses, gains, what type of trade is associated with it. Because you're not going to stop yourself from trading, and I've seen unfortunately the horror stories of that, of the revenge trading, and you started with 1 lots and you were up on the day, and then all of a sudden you're down, and now you're trading 2 lots in that 5 lot, and a person can go through their entire account in one volatile day. So that's very important. So work harder, not smarter. Use the Journaly trade review. Go through that. If you're not connected to that already, visit the Journalytics website to sign up. I assume people here are familiar with this already. That really ties into your performance, and showing to yourself what's working, what's not working. 12 months into this, you may see that you're just not cut out for you, and maybe it's not for you. It's not for everyone, but at least you can track and see for yourself. So here's some screenshots of this where it's connected. I got this from Fernando. This is just some information that he sent over to me for some of their clients that they use. It allows you to see your day trading performance, shows you open time, hours, and if you're a part-time trader, you need to, and you're trading through different hours and you're trying to find that comfort zone. This is a great tool that you need to lean on to see, like, well, when I found that I get in the markets and the market, there's some volume at the end of the day, I was more successful trading the close of the crude oil contract than the open, things like that. So you can structure your day around what you're seeing some success. And if you find that you're just losing consistently at a certain time, then maybe it's that market, that time frame. There's ways that you can build upon this. You can see the distribution of days of when, it's hard to say, Mondays are a losing day for me, but maybe it's the start of the week. There's some certain news reports that are coming out that kind of get digested. I know Monday mornings are always a day that I kind of advise people to kind of wait and see how we're digesting what happens over the Sunday night. The news over the weekend, the Sunday night market opens, it can bounce around, and then Monday morning it does the complete opposite. So seeing that, being aware of that, and tracking how you're actually trading is huge. And it's, like I said, work smarter, not harder. I mean, when I first started working here at Daniels, we would build spreadsheets based on working with clients and trade setups that, we'd have to work with them to keep track. And like, some people are just cut from that type of cloth to just keep track of all their information. They like to dive into those statistics. I'm from the, I prefer it to be an automated program like this, and then I can go in and read that data, because there's, especially if you don't have the time to be doing this full time, allow the system to automatically do it for you. Community, not going to spend too much on this, but you're obviously part of the Jigsaw community and the web events. Connect with people that are featuring the product, see how they're doing it, and try to be associated with them. See what you can to trade with them. Do your research before you buy anything. There's always going to be good and bad reviews, especially when trading is involved. People get emotional with losses, but you can tell through the sniff test of what's maybe realistic and what's not, and things that are overwhelmingly bad, and a lot of people raising their hand that unfair. Programs that have the ability to have a window where you can request a refund, I know, like Jigsaw does, usually means they're reputable. They're not just trying to steal your money and go away. So do your homework. I mean, everyone knows these day and age, kind of read reviews. There could be fake reviews, but again, groups, to me, especially if you're in the coming from the not as much time associated with this, you can get their templates to charts. You can see all their previous recordings. You can see their setups that they look for, so you don't have to copy them, sit there and try to do exactly what they do, but take their approach and maybe make it better for you. There's lessons. It gives you what's good about a room, if you can't sit in a room during the day, but you can get access to it after the close, is you can see a trail of their ideas during the day, or if you're watching a video, that you can go back while you're in front of the screens and see how that analysis is working. Obviously, if you're joining a room, obviously be respectful to the community. Try to batch send your questions. Most times people will spend the time to help you out, so you'll be surprised. Brokerage, obviously I'm a little biased to this because I am a broker, but you get what you pay for. If you want an extremely low rate and no interaction with a broker, go that route. But if you feel like there's value in actually having someone that's been doing this, like myself, almost 13 years, and I run a room and education, maybe it's worth an extra $1 around turn to have a guy like that you can chat with. If the platform goes down, have somebody to call. There's a lot of different ways to sell that. But at some point, yeah, you probably don't need a relationship in the business, and you're trading large size. So it might make sense to have a low cost relationship. But I've found by being a broker and working with clients that have had every type of account over 20, 30 years, they tend to find someone that they know that's reliable, that they can call when there's a jam, because when there is an issue and you can't get a hold of anybody, you can really lose a lot of money, or it's just extremely frustrating. All right, so homework, nobody wants any homework, but let's just think about some of these concepts. Elite athletes, elite traders, takes hard work and dedications, thousands and thousands of hours in screen time that go into these athletes and what they're doing. Elite traders, before the open, after the open, they're watching replays of their trades. So you got to just understand the environment that you're in and what you're up against, and that discipline. I think there's a lot of people that I talk to that just sign up for the education, sign up for the indicators, sign up for the best platform. You can't buy success in this. It's kind of when you look at the fitness industry, are you constantly chasing diet fads or workouts? At the end of the day, you can't buy fitness as well. I mean, you can get the trainer, you can have someone to help you be accountable, but eventually you have to flip that switch and be accountable to yourself. So same with trading. Yeah, it might be a losing game for you for quite some time, but if you're smart with your money and you stick with it and you're consistently learning, I do believe you can turn that corner of maybe taking losses, and then you're scratching, and then all of a sudden you're now seeing some winners, and you're able to trail trades and get on the right side of it. And there's a saying I always tell people, always be able to come back the next day. And that's what you need to look at it with trading. Never put yourself in a position where you're going all in and then you can't come back and trade. In terms of homework, I deal with this in terms of these events and people that are out there. Are you a serial downloader or requester of information? What are you doing with all this stuff? Are you actually reading that guide, reading that information? Recognize that. Don't just go online and request 30,000 things because you're going to get flooded with junk mail and not be able to get through that. Be realistic. Go through what you're doing. Do your homework. Don't know where to start. That's a big question, especially for people that are trying to get into this for the first time. They don't know what questions to ask. Just say, that there's a lot of sayings out there, but how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time, and there's people that argue to that as well. But it really is like baby steps. An overwhelmingly task. If you just can dedicate 30 minutes, an hour, every single day to read something or get through it, it'll be that consistent work. Just like if someone's a writer, they have to sit in front of the screen and just start. Over time, you'll build momentum, you'll see excitement, and then as you start practice trading and getting involved, futures may be just one element of the trading that you're doing. So maybe you're doing stock trading and options, and then you like the leverage of futures, using that micros, do something like that. I do think you need to keep a journal of your ideas. We mentioned that journal analytics tool for your trading ideas, but I also think things like Google Docs or the Evernote app that allows you to keep all your information in one source, that you can tag things that you learn, a journal, of course, your trading ideas, but just things in general that you're learning and what you want to work upon, and read those. Go back and read that journal from the day before of trading, but also things that you think they're important to your development. So the Market Dimensions Advisory, the idea is to help you move from fear to familiarity through frequency. That's a statement that I didn't develop. That is from a kind of a triathlon group that I followed and worked with in terms of swimming, and I really like that because you're going to be scared of loss. The risk of loss is never going to go away, but through frequency of trading over and over and over again, you build a familiarity that you get comfortable with having risk on. It's not saying you're being careless with your funds, but you need to be comfortable with having funds on. And you see it with new traders where they put a trade on and immediately get out. They're in a trade for 8 seconds. I'm like, well, what were we really trying to accomplish in that 8 seconds? You need to just be able to to dive in and feel comfortable with that trade. Give it a chance, follow your rules. And with the Market Dimensions Advisory, we try to get you the tools, education, analysis, and action. So with a membership, you get access to our platform and some additional profiling tools on top of that. I showcase the day trader jigsaw platform. You're going to get some education, some structured coursework that I put together, as well as some third-party coursework that we use. I know Peter has a great course for learning order flow when you sign up for them. So that's going to be something for you to go through. That's that small bite of getting through that education every day. Analysis. I'm not trying to say join in the room and make money. There's a learning curve to understand what I'm talking about, but we do live analysis, not showing you buy and sell orders. It's just real-time analysis that I can speak to my clients that I know that are trading, and we talk about after the markets of positions on. I can see they have trades on. I'm able to speak through them through this mechanism. Trail your risk up, look to get long here, position add. That's the idea of using these tools and what we're seeing and what I'm sharing in the room. So that's the benefit is me, instead of having to send an email or call people, we can use the room as a way to allow you to do that, to communicate. Action, setups, entries, risk, as I mentioned. We focus a lot on some day trading strategies in the room, but I do focus on trend following, longer style setups using, volume profile, volume analysis. Those ones we outright show entries, risks, setups, and maybe that might be how your first step to this would be, as maybe using options or minis or micros based on some trading sessions. So membership, you get those profiling tools and scanner. You get the MDA Premium Trading Room, member-only live stream every morning, and that's the link that I shared in the room to sign up. So sign up for that. You'll get to go through 30, 40 minutes of what we see in the market tomorrow. If you do have a membership, we have some seasonal SPED report reviews that you're going to gain access to. And if you have that MDA membership, you're going to get access to that 10 plus hours. If you want to get more information, costs and all that information, feel free to check out danielstrading.com/getmda. Again, visit my YouTube stream, sign up, check that out. I've shared that into the webinar chat box as well. So you can just type in Market Dimensions Advisory. They're longer. They're not, the 7-8 minute style videos that pretty popular on YouTube that they recommend that you do. They're usually recordings of webinars, specific topics. So watch as much as you want, jump through. If you ever want to have a specific topic covered, reach out to me. I'm always open to try to evaluate something. I use Jigsaw, their day trader platform. So if you're using that and you have a struggle with something or want something to review, let me know, as well as other market information. So make sure to click that link I shared in there, MDA Premium Room, free day from the Jigsaw event. Fill out the registration form. You'll get an email for tomorrow. It starts at 8:20 a.m. and it'll go to about 9 o'clock right on that open time frame. First 30, 40 minutes of the day. If it's volatile and there's volume and things are moving around, usually we run over. If there's questions and interactions, I definitely want to address things in there. So here's my contact information. Don't hesitate to shoot me an email anytime. The good, the bad, and the ugly. Let me know where you are, where you're coming from, what you're interested in. I've been doing this for, I know I've mentioned 13 plus years. I don't take things personally, but I do want to learn from them. If you think what I'm saying is awful, tell me. I'd like to learn from that as well. Visit Daniel's Trading /MDA YouTube page. At this point in time, if you have any specific questions, I'd be happy to address those. Other than that, Fernando, if you have anything that you want me to cover, let me know.
Yeah, I can see a couple of questions in the chat box and in the Q&A also. Can you see them, or do you want me to read it to you?
Sure.
So in your opinion, which platform has the best trading analysis technology? Well beyond simple simplistic P&L. It's very time consuming to manually import trade data into third-party software.
Thanks for the question. Obviously, we have a platform here at Daniels Trading, our DT Pro platform, that comes complimentary with your account. So it's a great platform, but it is limited. It's free. There are platforms out there that always will take an initial bit of work to set up in your templates. So I use Sierra Chart. You know, I know they're the competitor of Jigsaw. Obviously, I use Jigsaw as well for some of their order entry, order flow, but in terms of longer term volume analysis and market profiling, I will lean on something like that. I'm not going to say they're the best. I'm sure you could find things that are not as great as about that, but I look at the cost and the capabilities and how they tie into our DT Pro platform, and that's been a good one that as I shared that chart that allows me to look at, you know, something like this, you know, market profile, day volume, weekly volume, to build that context. And then once you kind of get that strategy, you bring in, you know, something like Jigsaw to help you with the executions, to see where the real-time order flow is coming in, the imbalances. You know, our DT Pro platform as well works as that too. So hopefully that answers your question. I'm not going to go out and say, you know, what's bad, what's good, but they all require some element of work to get things set up. And that's why I think if you find someone that's kind of a guru that uses that platform and you can subscribe to their or buy their templates or get that type of template in place, it's going to save you a lot of time.
I have another question here. Can you share some futures market with good volume after 6 p.m. Eastern?
Okay, what was that again?
Can you share some futures markets with good volume after 6 p.m. Eastern?
Okay, so there really isn't immediately at that point in time. That's kind of when things close down. But if you go down any chart and you look at volume as a by bar, you'll see that in the overnight that some of the, you know, European markets, when they open, you'll see the euro, even the E-mini. It depends on the volatility you're seeing in the environment, but I think the euro, you have the E-mini S&P, depending the context of what we're seeing in the markets, some financials, the DAX, the Nikkei, those are bigger contracts. Those are what I try to help people look at. I'd be happy to talk with you offline, and you can tell me kind of what you're looking for in terms of trading approach. But what I usually will do is go through and look at volume, and it's a moving target. There are, you know, during Brexit and things that are, when that was in the forefront, a lot of those markets were trading in the overnight. I feel like oil and gas as well. I feel like every time I'd wake up in the morning, last month before, from like 2 a.m. to 6 a.m. in the morning, the oil markets had made a move, and so was equities, just a large move in the market. So there's no perfect answer to that as well. I think it's a moving target. You need to just look at, see what type of volume comes in, and know the, you know, the environment you're in. If the volatility is uptick, you're going to have some probably good overnight markets. If it's based upon European or China type news and information, then there's probably going to be some activity overnight. If it's just strictly U.S. information, probably won't have much interaction with that.
Mm-hmm, yeah. So another one, do brokers assist with helping traders getting automated and educating them as well in that arena?
Yeah, there's. I personally am not going to help you code a strategy of any kind. That's just not my skill set. But you know, our clearing firm has programmers that do that, and I think some of them will do it for a fee, depending on the client size and what they're looking to do. They can help in the nature of the scope and scale of the project. Some of them can advise you on what you're doing with that. So there are there are people out there that help you. I think you need to know what your strategy is and at least have that articulated. Our platforms, like many out there, use that I think it's called easy language or things that work on different platforms. So once you kind of have the coding aspect down, we can connect you with a forum and people like that that'll help you code it. And Peter probably could tell you. I know he has many developers on some tips on coding, but I personally do not. But we have product managers that we can get them connected to help you with that.
Mm-hmm. How many clients that brokers have start out undercapitalized to begin with?
I think most accounts start undercapitalized. You know, that's the first question we get. What's your minimum account size? And you know, we have minimums there, but it's like, why is that the number one question people ask? Are you trying to get into something that you don't have enough funds to do and you're in it for the wrong reasons? Many people don't trust themselves. You see people that have been in the markets for a long time. They only keep, you know, 10,000 or 5,000 in the account, and they perpetually wire money in and out of the account. There's a lot of different reasons. I do think many people start undercapitalized, test the waters. I want to see how it goes, and then they lose money. They have unrealistic expectations, and they never come back. I'm not saying you need to fund the account with, you know, $50,000 and you have a better chance of success, but I do think you need to, you know, think about your approach, your duration of your trades, and meet margins, and, you know, fund it with 10,000, something like that. If you draw down to 60%, call it quits type of scenario, as opposed to just looking at it like a Forex account or something that people would just fund with their credit cards, and they look at more as like a, you know, like a betting on a sports game as opposed to kind of a trading approach. The addition of the micros, I think, is a game changer, because you can have some of those smaller account sizes to test a strategy, as long as you just don't become reckless with it and it's too small of a size that you kind of don't really care, your strategy isn't getting honed. But I hope that answers kind of your question.
Mm-hmm. Do you have an opinion on any of the trader funding platforms?
I'm not going to really speak to that. I think if you have an approach and having funds is an issue with where you are, and you can successfully go through some of those combines and get funded, then go for it. But if you find that you're just, if it's a more stimulated demo trading where you're just doing those over and over and you're just paying someone to be held accountable, and maybe you get lucky on that, I don't think you're ready for it at that time. I think you should have some type of real trading experience that you've seen that you can be successful, and then approach the combine. It's like you're going towards a professional combine for, you know, the NFL, and you have no background in high school, college football. You just, you know, you've studied, you have all the theory, and you've worked, you haven't done any of the physical conditioning, and you think you're going to get a chance to break through. I would look at it that way. Mm-hmm. You need to actually have real money in line, because that's what's going to make you successful.
Yeah. Is market profile included in the DT platform?
No. So that's why I will lean on a couple different services, because it's outside the scope of what we have on the platform. Maybe coming down the line, but there's a lot of different third-party platforms that tie in. If you sign up for an MDA subscription, you get access to a market profile style set of indicators that are third-party into the platform that work on that DT Pro and other third-party platforms.
Mm-hmm. Which products would be good to trade, which are Twitter-proof?
I don't think anything. Unfortunately,
Yeah.
It's Twitter. I don't know if you should even be focused on Twitter. I personally think what you should do is if you know a report's coming out and you want to try to see that report, it's gonna be on Twitter much faster, and read the report and digest it yourself. Search things that you want found on Twitter. If you see if there's a quick reaction in the market and you want to go to Twitter first and see if you can find some news on that. I think it's a common thing. There's a tweet that does move the market around, by President Trump or another outlet. That's just the same news that's hitting the wires that's always existed. It's just faster. So I don't think a break of news is ever going to change, and there's no markets that cannot be not affected by that. That's why a lot of strategies, when you're diving into day trader, we have technical buying and selling areas that when our trade management, hey, if this price is breached, you should be out of this. Trading management kind of approach to it. So if news like that happens, we're usually already out or covered. So.
Mm-hmm. The last one I have here is, what's the average duration of accounts open before they figure out they can't trade and shut it down?
There's no right answer for that. There's all different types of people. I've seen a lot of people that don't learn until they actually have money on the line, and they have maybe a longer leash than other people, meaning that they know they're not going to take things seriously until the first thing they do is, hey, let's just put a position on and just see how it goes, and they learn from that. And then we have people that, obviously no one wants to lose money at the end of the day, but they're will not take action until this line is crossed, then this happens, and this execution happens, and they find themselves never trading and paper trading. I think you need to give it, depends how much homework you've done before coming into it, what's your analysis, what's your approaches. If you're day trading or seasonal trading, you need to give yourself a year or two. But if you quickly go through like 50% of your account in a course of a week or two, you're obviously over trading. Your approach is not the right approach for that account size. You're probably having some type of revenge trading, reckless trading in there. There's a lot of different things that we could diagnose. It's just with anything. Each case, I'm happy to. That's why another reason come on board for people that I work with. I'm able to pull things apart. You have someone to talk to. They can have that ability to just look and see what you're doing and give you some advice.
Yes, and I have someone here asking if you could post the links again in the chat box.
Sure. Let me see if I can find that. All right, so this is the YouTube page directly to my YouTube, and this is the link for, let's see here, the Jigsaw event free day for tomorrow. And I just looking at the chat, I saw someone said, disciplined work isn't lesser work. Tim's 4-hour work week does folks a real disservice. I'm not saying live your life by what he says you do. I do think he's got very creative ways of breaking the mold on how to structure your day to do things that you want to do, as opposed to having the old conventional structure of just sitting in front of your work, and being able to have flexibility of working remotely and doing some things like that. So that's why I brought that in. I don't think it's, hey, only you have to work 4 hours and go out and do whatever you want. It's more of thinking creatively and using tools, and he goes through a lot of that allows you to, you have more flexibility probably in what you're doing that you realize, and it just takes that start to tweak your schedule, schedule your meetings appropriately. Is every meeting that you need to be in necessary? And adapting, and it may take 3 to 6 months for someone to get used to this new schedule you're on, but it's possible. That's what I was saying. There's good talking points in there, and there's a lot of stuff out there that allows you to give you more control so you can still maintain your job and do what you want to do, so you can still get that paycheck to keep the lights on, feed your family, and then allow you to be in front of the computer at the best time. The guy that was asked, or lady or gentleman that was asking what markets are moving best at 6 p.m. Central Time to midnight, it's hit or miss. You want to be able to be when all the other volume and volatility is there. So yes, you can get in there, and there are people that trade the overnight, Eurex, different overseas markets that move, and the volatility pays a lot of that. But eventually, you want to be able to be in front of your screen, you know, from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. Central Time for 2 hours, where you can trade when the markets are moving. And if you can structure your day around that, and then start your day of meetings and full-time job and completely disconnect it, that's a great way to transition if you do find yourself being successful at it. And maybe you won't. Maybe you do find a part-time job and then trade as well, and then eventually you start trading full-time. But I think that's what I was trying to say with that bullet point. So I appreciate the comment, but that's what I was trying to say. All right, well, I'm not seeing any more questions coming in. If anybody has anything else, let me know.
No, I don't see any. Yeah.
All right, well, I appreciate
Andrew.
it. I appreciate it, Fernando.
Thank you so much.
Again, guys, if you want to attend that event tomorrow, click that link. I can't speak any more highly than Peter and Fernando and Jigsaw. I've been working with those guys. By just finding their product, we have no business relationship or profit sharing or anything like that. It's just purely I found them and like their tools, and we have kind of a mutual basis of clients. And I think over the years, I trust who they are and what they're doing. So that's why I was here today. So thanks again for having me.
Thank you so much, Andrew, and thank you everybody to showing up, and we see you all next time. Thank you.